Richician!
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and this is the video for my top 10 hated synchro monsters. Yes, this time I'm counting down the synchro monsters that I hate so much that I wish they never existed. Now, again, of course, I don't mean any offence to anyone who plays these synchro monsters. I'm just voicing my opinions and just simply explaining why I hate them so much. And again, just because there are outs to them doesn't mean you're guaranteed to see them, no matter how many you have. Like, just getting that out the way real quick. And now, let's begin. Number 10, the Turia Beast. A long-time arch nemesis of mine. I hate the Turia Beast because spell-heavy decks just auto-lose to it. Like, which is basically the kind of deck that I usually play. Like, if this comes out, I basically can't play. Unless I can use my traps and monster effects or super poly to stop it, like the one spell that can counter it. Like if I'm playing any of my hero decks, yeah, despite its summoning conditions, it's also too easy to summon. The effect isn't even once per turn, and milling 2 cards is nothing to give up. Like, it's just not a fair and balanced card in any way whatsoever. Like, how is this card still even legal? Like, I just don't get it. Like, I mean, I would have thought that banning it would be a great way to promote pendulums, like when they first came out. Like, along with the fact that it's degenerate as fuck. I mean, you could argue that it's a necessary evil against things like Trickstars, Sky Strikers, Endymion, Pendulum Magician and things like that. But to me, it's pure evil. Like, why should everyone else have to suffer? Like, and this has particularly been a thorn in my side when it comes to Naturias themselves, Six Samurais and X-Sabers. I mean, Xian just existing was bad enough, but Beast was just insult to injury. Like, same with X-Sabers, where like all they ever do is either OTK, hand loop with Gothams, use Guzzin Match to stop anyone from playing, or use Beast to stop anyone from playing. Like, it's just infuriating. That's really all there is to it. Number 9, DDD Cursed King Siegfried. Now, maybe this is a bit random, I know, but technically it's a dark bribe on legs. Like, if there's one thing I hate more than the Turia Beast, it's dark bribes on legs. Alright, I know it doesn't say it negates spells and traps, but it might as well, considering it says that it negates a face-up spell or trap. Right. It's just a load of bullshit. You probably don't know this about me, or maybe forgot about it, but I actually hate DDDs, because before the structure deck came out, all it ever did was OTK, and I hate OTK decks of any kind. But then, later on, it gained degenerate boss monsters that negate something the opponent does. Like, for instance, I was once in a match where the opponent went first and made a board of this card, Crystal Wing, and Hope Harbinger, and there was nothing I could do, so I just scooped up when it came to my turn. Like, how is that even fair? Like, it's just a lot of horse shit. Like, even if I'm not getting OTK'd, then half my deck is being negated by this fucker. Not that I've encountered it that much, but I've encountered it enough to hate this motherfucker. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Number 8, Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Yeah, another one which seems kind of random, I know, but yeah. When I first looked at this card, I was like, oh, hell no! Like, fuck this card. Because, like, again, it's a Dark Bribe on legs. I'm not so bothered about its first effect, where it can make itself unaffected by things if a monster effect is activated. Like, it can do it, but just the fact that it negates spells and traps just pisses me off. I mean, thankfully it has very specific summoning requirements, but like, I still hate it. Like I hate all Dark Bribes on legs of any kind, like, regardless of whether it's once per turn, can do it as many times as possible, or needs specific materials. Now, thankfully I haven't actually encountered it, but I don't need to encounter it to hate it. Although there was one time in a battle royal where I negated its summon with Solemn Strike. Like, it was me, George, and 2 other people, and he attempted to summon it, and I negated it with Strike, and he wasn't too happy about that, and I don't think he's ever forgiven me for it. But come on, like, I had to. Like, it's a Dark Bribe on legs, and I don't want negates on the field. Like, if someone is summoning a negate, I will stop it by any means necessary, including negate a summon. Like, I don't care if your goal is to just bring it out. I am stopping it in its tracks, because, you know, I want to actually play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, stopping the summon was perfectly justified, whether you agree with me or not. Yeah, I hate this fucker. I mean, why do you think I don't play it in my own Speedroid deck? Again, that's really all there is to it. Number... wait, what are we on? 7. Another old arch nemesis of mine, and the card that made me hate 6 Samurais with a passion. Legendary 6 Samurai Shen. Another Dark Bribe on legs. Like, I was just dismayed when this came out. I was like, why? Why did you have to create another Dark Bribe on legs, Konami? Like, it's bad enough that Gladiator Beast Heraklinos exists. Now, before this even came out, I didn't even have a problem with 6 Samurais. Like, I mean, Great Shogun Shen, Airu, and Yeichi were tricky cards to deal with, which made the deck tricky to deal with, but I didn't have a reason to hate classic 6 Samurais. But then the legendary 6 Samurais came along, and this card by itself made me hate them. Like, this is the source of my hatred for 6 Samurais, with or without the Turia Beast. And I have just hated them ever since. Like, all 6 Sams ever do now is just summon Beast and Shen and just negate pretty much everything. I mean, sure, it doesn't hurt monster effect heavy decks like Mermaids, Infernoids, BA or whatever, but everyone else suffers, like including players like me. Like, in fact, this deck by itself made the March 2011 format shit. Alright, yes, I have 2 March 2011 format decks, Dark Magician and Legendary Hero, but the only reason I made a March 11 Legendary Hero deck was because that was when the deck was at its most successful, despite 6 Samurais being a tough matchup. But that doesn't mean I want to play against a deck, whether it's past format or current format. Like, Shen just made my dueling life a misery. Even when it was limited, mind you, at least the deck was somewhat easier to deal with when it was limited, but it just pissed me off when it went to 2 and then back to 3. I mean, sure, they may not be meta-relevant anymore, but just because it's not meta-relevant doesn't mean it's not fucking annoying. Yeah, fuck 6 Samurais. There's even someone trying to play me with a March 11 6 Samurai deck, but it's not going to happen, ever. Number 6, Cosmic Blazer Dragon. Now, sure, it's not that easy to summon, but, you know, Synchrons just make it too easy to summon, along with other degenerate Synchro monsters. Now, like I said before, if there's one thing I hate more than a Dark Bribe on legs, it's a monster that negates everything, including Cosmic Blazer Dragon. It's... There are not enough words to describe how infuriating this is. I mean, I haven't encountered it as much as Quasar, but it's still fucking annoying. Oh, and it negates summons as well, which is just insult to injury. I mean, sure, it has to banish itself for cost in order to negate something, but it doesn't matter if it just comes right back at the end of the turn. So, yeah, I just have to hope that I can just do something about the opponent's board before it comes back. But then again, chances are there's likely to be another negate on board. I mean, that's really all there is to say about it, really. There's not much I can say that I haven't said about other monsters that negate everything. Number 5, Shooting Quasar Dragon. The other Stardust upgrade that I hate with a fucking passion. And again, it's another negate. More specifically, like, it's a Herald of Perfection in Synchro form that can attack at least twice. Like, it's a lockdown card and an OTK card rolled into one. Like, again, how is that even fair? Like, it's just not fair and balanced in any way whatsoever. Well, besides its summoning conditions, which I suppose kind of balance it out, but not really, considering that Synchrons and Larvals make it too easy to summon. Like, in fact, this is what pisses me off about synchron decks. Like, I'm not saying I hate synchrons, but all they seem to ever fucking do is just summon Quasar, Blazar, and maybe Crystal Wing as well, and just stop the opponent from doing anything, regardless of whether they're going for an OTK or just a lockdown. Like, it's so annoying as well as boring and unoriginal. Like, it's like, why can't you do something else? Like, this is something that personally puts me off playing synchrons myself, which is a shame because I love the archetype. Yusei's my favourite character. Stardust Dragon and Junk Warrior and are two of my favourite synchros, and I like his warrior synchro monsters. I mean, if I wanted to play synchrons, I'd just focus on Yusei's warrior synchros, and Stardust Dragon, and you know, generic synchros that are actually fun and just the exact opposite of degenerate as fuck. I mean, sure, it might not be a great build, but you know, I'd rather go with that than focus on bringing out monsters that say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, that being said, the closest thing I have to a synchron deck is my Stardust Junk deck, but even then, the focus is still Stardust Dragon, Stardust Spark Dragon, and Junk Warrior, mainly, and Satellite Warrior, but that's it. Yeah, fuck shooting Quasar Dragon. Number 4, shooting Majestic Star Dragon. Another Stardust upgrade that I hate with a passion, because it's another monster that negates everything. Now again, it does have specific summoning requirements, but you know, in its own archetype, it's really not that difficult to do. Now, I'm not so bothered about its first effect, again, where it negates the effects of an effect monster and gains an additional attack. Each Stardust Dragon or Synchro monster that says Stardust Dragon, but I am bothered about its other effect where it just negates everything pretty much. I mean, sure, it has to banish itself for cost, but again, it comes back just like Cosmic Blazer Dragon, and not only does it negate, it negates and banishes, which makes it a cheap shot banish card. So basically, it's invoked Mechaba in synchro form, and I fucking hate it. I mean, I've not had that many encounters with it, but even so, it's still enough to make me hate this fucker with a passion. I mean, hence why I don't play it myself in my Stardust Junk deck. You probably don't agree with me on that decision, but you know, some of us would rather just play cards that are actually fair and balanced and don't ruin the game for everyone else, you know? But yeah, that's my opinion. Number 3, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Like, the only Red Dragon Archfiend monster that I hate, because, well, it's another monster that technically negates everything. Like, I say technically because, well, it's just worded differently, and it just says target a face-up card the opponent controls and negates its effects. So it might as well say it just negates everything. I mean, sure, it can't negate anything that activates in hand or grave, but it doesn't matter, because the field is where you want your effects to be activated. It just pisses me off so much, and whenever a lot of the times where I've gone up against an opposing Red Dragon Archfiend deck, this card comes out and I just auto lose to it. Of course, there was one time where I was able to overcome it though. I don't remember how I did it, but I just got lucky. Whereas every other time it just stops me from being able to play, and it's proved to be an infuriating problem outside of Red Dragon Archfiend decks. Like, this was one of the reasons why I hated Guard Dragons for a while, because Guard Dragon players would always summon this fucker off Guard Dragon Argopane, and it was just so annoying when it came to basically any deck that played the Guard Dragon Link monsters. It just made it too easy to summon. And I've seen it play in other decks like Buster Blader, which for me makes it feel like it's defeating the whole point of the deck, which is to focus on, you know, the Buster Blader cards themselves. It's just annoying. And there was like one time where someone gave me shit for not playing it in my own Red Dragon Archfiend deck. It's like, why should this person even care? Like, my Red Dragon Archfiend deck is just a fun deck. Like, I didn't make it for competitive play. Like, and playing cards like this is not my way of dueling. And, you know, I just don't want to play it. Sure, there may have been times where I've played my Red Dragon Archfiend deck and this card would have helped, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's still a matter of principle. Like, I would much rather lose games than play a degenerate piece of shit like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. And yeah, while I am looking for ways to improve my Red Dragon Archfiend deck, like, I still like to have fun with it. And I'd much rather use the other forms and not a card that negates everything. You know? I mean, again, that's really all there is to it. Number 2, Borreload Savage Dragon. Now, I did already talk about this before, because it's among my top 8 hated cards in general, so there's not much I can say that I haven't said already, besides the fact that it's a generic synchro that negates everything. And it just pisses me off that it's just one of those cards that sees play in almost every deck. Well, or should I say every deck that can play synchros and links together. It just pisses me off so much. It's just a cheap, easy auto win button, and I fucking hate it. I mean, you could argue that it's the easiest one to stop, because you can just use any form of monster effect negation to stop the effect to equip it, but again, there's no guarantee you're going to draw into that monster effect negation. so infuriating, and like I said, it annoys me when people either give me shit for not playing it or wind me up over the fact that I hate it and don't play it myself, especially in my own rocket deck. But you know, again, it's called personal preference. Like, not everyone likes this card, therefore not everyone wants to play it. It just annoys me that some people just don't respect other people's decisions and wishes, and especially when it comes to deck building. Again, I am not a competitive player, and playing these sorts of cards is not my way of dueling, so it really doesn't matter if I don't play them. And I wish certain people would shut up about the card. Like, it's getting old, annoying and boring now. I mean, again, like, that's it, and there's nothing I can say about it that I haven't said already. Number 1, my most hated Synchro monster in the game is Baron de Fleur. One of the hot cards in the game right now. Arguably the best card in Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm, and the best level 10 Synchro right now. That I will admit. But that doesn't mean I have to like it, and I hate this fucking bitch with a passion. The once per turn effect to destroy a card on the field, I can live with. Like, I mean, it's not a quick effect either, so, you know, it's fine. That I can deal with. What I can't deal with is the fact that it's another monster that negates everything, and it's pissing me off that Konami keeps bringing them out. Like, why? Like I said before, they do nothing but ruin the game and suck all the fun, life and joy out of it. And even though this is a level 10 Synchro, it's far too easy to summon. Like, especially in Sword Soul. Now, I've only gone up against Sword Soul like a couple of times, and they are tricky to deal with, like with or without this card. In fact, I even keep forgetting about some of the effects of the Synchros where they burn for 1200. Baron de Fleur is just infuriating. I've gone up against it twice, I think, and I was able to... Actually, was I able to deal with it once? I can't remember. Like, either I got OTK'd or I was able to play around it, but there was another time where it was summoned turn 1 and I couldn't do anything while it was on the field, and it just pissed me off so much. It's just seeing too much play. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I don't play in tournaments anymore. As you know, I've heard, well, like I said, I've gone up against Sword Soul like a couple of times, and I've heard horror stories about the deck and how well it generally does. But it's just something that puts me off wanting to play in tournaments. But I've seen it in other decks, like outside of Sword Soul. In fact, I've hardly ever seen Fleur in its own archetype. I've seen some decks and combos where it's able to come out on the opponent's turn as well, like using some level 5 tuner and artifact scythe after it got popped by did it get popped by? I can't remember, but yeah, it's terrifying, to say the least. Yeah, fuck this card. I hate it. Like, I sure as hell don't want to come back to tournaments with this bitch running riot in Sword Soul or other Synchro decks. And yeah, that's basically it for my top 10 hated Synchros. Whether you agree with me on any of those is up to you, of course, like I keep saying. I mean, if you agree, fantastic. If you don't, fair enough. That's your opinion. We are all entitled to our own opinions, but you know, rather than have an argument in the comments, let's just agree to disagree and move on with our lives. Just save the aggro, you know. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.